Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Speak On It. I'm your boy, R.W. Coolins. First and foremost, giving honor to God who allows me to come at you in this manner on a weekly basis. 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific. That's what we do here every Saturday morning on the Speak On It show. How's everybody doing out there? Hopefully everybody's had a good week, kicking in for the weekend. I think we got some good mornings coming in. Brian Hoodie, good morning, my brother. Good morning. Appreciate you. Thanks for your support. Appreciate you. So Saturday morning, y'all, 10 a.m. East, 12 years. And I want to start off the show. I don't like doing this too much, but you know what? Let's get this out the way. Let's get something. How do I want to do this? Let's get the voting out the way first. Let's get the voting out the way, and then we can move on to something. www.nass.org. Can I vote? I think we got 24 days. 24? 23 in the wake up. 24 days before we vote November 5th. 2024, excuse me, 2024. We have the president 2025. 2024, November 5th, 2024. That's what we got. And let's go ahead and put this up here. Let's get these formalities out the way. Can I vote? www.nass.org. Can I vote is the website. You can go to NASS, National Association of Secretaries of State in each one of your states. You can go there, click on the link, www.nass.org. Can I vote? Click on it. We've been talking about this for a while, y'all, so it's starting to get a little, But go to the website, go to the next page, click where it says voter registration status. Once you click there, it'll bring you to the next page, select your state in the drop down there. And then once you select your state, put in your last four, your social, or you can put your information, date of birth, driver's license number, so on and so forth. November 5th. This is October 12th. 20-something days, 24, I think it is, 24 days. No excuses. We've been saying for a year or more, there's no excuse for anybody to not have the proper registration and to know that they're registered in the right way to vote on November 5th. Now, I want to start off the show this morning with this. Now we got the voting out the way. Everybody knows what they need to do. Everybody knows where they need to go. Everyone should be receiving their ballots in the mail. If you got mail-in ballots in your state, you should be receiving them. I received mine the other day. I will be perusing through that this week to see who's what, all that. So make sure you do the same thing before you go to the polls. If you get a mail-in ballot, you can go through there, check the people, find out what their background is. You should know before now, who's running, but you should also be able to go in and check and see who's who. Now, let me caveat here. I'm a transition for a minute here because there's something that happened sometime last week with the show. Now, mind you, last week's show, very good show, I thought. Good conversation, good back and forth. We got into the immigration policies and all those different things or whatever. But I want to start off saying this. Before I get into this, I want to start off by saying this. Speak On a Show has been in existence for 12 years. 12 years. And in those 12 years, I've been called different names for my views, for my topics I talk about, different things, just other people's opinions, which I'm cool with. I don't get into the back and forth with people. If you got an opinion, just like I got an opinion, say what you got to say. We move on. We can agree to disagree. As I always say, we can agree to disagree. But last week, there was a misunderstanding. I'm going to call it a misunderstanding as far as how the platform works and how you see comments and so forth. So here's what happened. We had someone on the show last week. I'm not going to give names or anything like that, but we had somebody on the show last week. And after the show, I guess they went back to look at, their comments and what they put in and everything. And their comments did not show up on Facebook. Well, they went into me deleting the comments, removing the comments, and so on and so forth. Let me stop right there for a minute and say this. In the 12 years that I've been doing this show, I have never and will never delete comments. I don't need to go back and delete comments of what people have to say or their opinions and everything. That's not what I do. This is the Speak On This show. I call it, this is the Speak On This show. I call it the Speak On This show because not only do I feel that I need to speak on it, but your interactions and give it and saying what you have to say, I want you to speak on it as well. But in these comments, the person said that I deleted their comments. So me, being who I am, because it hit a chord with me, let's just be real, I went to do some research on what happened. Now, the comments were shown up on the screen when I post them, but they weren't showing in the feed for Facebook. After further review, the comments that the person said I deleted were not comments made through Facebook. They were made through YouTube. Now, understand this, and I want everybody to hear this, and I'm saying this for educational purposes more than just trying to get on the person that had these comments, because I'm going to get into that in a minute. However, if you're watching the show through Facebook and you comment, make a comment in Facebook, it will show up on Facebook. If you're watching the show and you make a comment through YouTube, it shows up on YouTube. If I post it on the screen, it's going to show on both because it's recorded. But if you comment live, it's going to show up on Facebook. If you're on Facebook, it's going to show up on YouTube if you're on YouTube. They don't cross. So if you're commenting on Facebook, you won't see your comments on YouTube. If you're commenting on YouTube, you won't see your comments on Facebook. Now, back to our regular scheduled program, as I say. When I went back and did the research, I responded to the individual and let them know I don't delete anything. If you're commenting, and just like I said, Facebook, YouTube do not cross. So if you comment on YouTube, it's YouTube only. If you comment on Facebook, it's Facebook only. That's where you'll see your comments when you go back and you want to go back and make sure your comments are there, or see if your comment made sense when you typed it, however you want to do it. I don't have a problem with that part. As I said, I've been called many, many names in my time of doing this show. I don't take offense to it. It's my opinion. You don't have to agree, but we should be able to agree to disagree. Where my problem came in with the comment wasn't that I deleted it, because I knew I didn't delete anything. I went back, did research. We found that I'm good. Comments are there. Go back and look at them if you want. They're on Facebook, or they're on YouTube, and they're on Facebook. Fine. What didn't sit well with me after doing this for 12 years, and you've heard me say this many times, was this comment here. This was in the text that the person wrote. When the goal is to make Speak On It large and popular enough so it becomes a moneymaker. That's where I had a problem. I haven't made a dime in the 12 years that I've been doing this. I do this because I love doing this. So because your comments didn't show up, you had an attitude with me like I deleted it because I'm trying to make money off the show. That's not me. My integrity speaks more to me than to just put information out there just for $1. That's not who I am. Let's clear that up. The second part was, after that, it says, got it. Speak On It is a black thing. Now, this bothered me more than anything. Not that they called it a black thing, but the fact that they feel that me doing this show is only for the digestion of people that look like me. Now, mind you, Speak On This show is not a black show. Speak On This show is a show with a black host. Let me say that again. Speak On This show is a show with a black host. Does not make it a black show. You don't turn on the TV and see the MSNBC news shows or CNN and all that and say, oh, this is a white newscast. You look at it as a newscast. Where my problem comes in is we get minimized to who we are by not what we do, and not what our impact is of what we do. That's the only thing that sat wrong with me, is to call this a black thing. I had a problem with that. The other stuff, minor, because I knew I didn't delete anything. But when you start getting into the point of saying this is a black thing, or it's a black show for black people and all that, you can come up with any excuse you want. I have more than enough listeners that are multicultural, different nationalities. I don't need to explain that. but it didn't sit well with me. And I'm gonna get into something else a little later on that goes along with this. But when you start trying to minimize what I'm doing to just being for my people, now I love my people, don't get me wrong, but I do this platform for anybody that wants to listen. So if you don't listen because it's a black thing, that's fine too. But don't pigeonhole me into the point of being a black thing and trying to make money off of this show. That's not what I do. That's not why I do what I do. Let's keep that clear. All right. So I just wanted to get that out there. If you comment on Facebook, you can see your comments on Facebook after the show. If you comment on YouTube, you can see your comments on YouTube after the show. I don't delete anything. You can call me all kind of names. I'm not going to delete it because it says more about you than it does about me. Just saying. Do what you do, and I'm going to continue what I do. 12 years on the air. 12 years. I've been doing this. And I have yet to this day to delete any comments that come in. Why? Because I don't need to. I know who I am, and I know what I stand on, and I'm not going to delete anything. Willis Cheney, good morning, good brother. Appreciate you, my brother. Appreciate you. Okay, here we go. Ophelia Girls Foundation School. Good morning, Rod. That comment was mine. I was wrong. I felt left out when I thought my comments were erased. It was my problem because I did not know to go to Facebook. No problem. See, that's what it's all about. Agreeing to disagree and identifying where we fall short. I appreciate that. No problem. I'm not going to say your name, but I appreciate you. No harm, no foul. These are things that happen. If we don't know, we don't know. As I mentioned, the only thing I had a problem with was the black show part, but hey, we can get past that. We come in as friends, we leave as friends. That's what I say here on the show every week. So, hey, no harm, no foul. This is what we do. But it was educational for myself as well as other listeners who may comment on different platforms, so we know exactly where your comments will show up. Ain't nothing but love over here on the Speak on the Show. So 12 years in the making, we're going to continue doing what we're doing. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Let's go on and get into this. And let me just say that it's unscripted, baby. It's unscripted Saturday. We unscripted. We going all in. We got some things we need to talk about. And yeah, let's go. In the news. Let's get into this. Okay, so 24 days, y'all. 24 days before we vote. Let's go ahead and put our folks up on here. These are our candidates for president of the United States. You got Donald Trump with J.D. Vance, and you have Kamala Harris with Tim Walz. Another comment. Avery Wheaton, good morning, sis. Good morning. Appreciate you. So you got these two candidates, but there's another, and I'm going to get into this in a minute, but I want to touch on something with these two. So Kamala Harris did an interview with 60 Minutes last week. I didn't see it. I'm sorry. Normally I see 60 Minutes every week. I didn't see it last week. I was busy. But anyway, 60 Minutes interview, they said it was, kind of iffy and everything like that. But Donald Trump turned down the 60 Minutes interview. And then he got mad when they showed her interview, even though he said he didn't want to do the interview. This is what we're dealing with right now within 20-something days. And it's been historically known, that each candidate does 60 Minutes interviews within the 30 days of the election. This is something I read, so take it for what I know and what I read. But he didn't want to go on be interviewed because first they said he didn't want to be fact checked by 60 Minutes, which we all know he doesn't like to be fact checked. So with 60 Minutes, he didn't want to be fact checked by 60 Minutes. Okay. Then it was, the scheduling. Then it was this. There was many more excuses than it was facts. Let's just put it that way, which is what we're dealing with. But something else that happened this week that I think has kind of blown off, and I supposedly, allegedly, and I don't know if I said this last week, but Donald Trump sent COVID tests to Vladimir Putin during the height of COVID, before any of us had any test result, any testing apparatuses or anything. He sent them over to Russia for Putin. And the article says Kremlin confirms. Well, first, let's start here. Donald Trump said he didn't send them to the Kremlin. But the Kremlin confirms Trump sent Russia COVID-19 tests after former president denied Bob Woodward claim. Now, Bob Woodward wrote this book, and in this book, he has a lot of things in there about, I think I talked about it last week, where he talked to Putin 7 times behind closed doors where nobody knows since he left the office of the president. But it says Russia has confirmed that Donald Trump sent the Kremlin sample COVID-19 tests in the early days of the pandemic after revelations in veteran journalist Bob Woodward's new book raised further questions about the former U.S. president's relationship with Russian leader Vladimir Putin. The Trump administration sent us several samples of test kits, Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov told reporters on Thursday, broadly supporting Woodward's claim. His intervention comes after Trump denied the claims, telling ABC News they were fake. So we go back again. What is it with Donald Trump, former President Donald Trump, and these authoritative dictators in these other countries that he caters to them? Because I want you to think about something. Think about how many people died under his watch during COVID. But he has enough wherewithal to not care about the people here, but he's sending test kits to Russia. But it's all a hoax. He's going to be the hardest president we've ever had on Russia and Putin and this and that and all this. I mean, come on. What are we doing here? But this is the mindset. This is where he's at. This is what he does. And then it says that in the book War, which is what Bob Woodward wrote, Trump secretly sent Putin a bunch of Abbott point of care COVID test machines for his personal use, not for the people, for his personal use. And it says that Putin said to him, "Please don't tell anybody you sent these to me," Putin said to Trump, according to Woodward. "I don't care," Trump replied. "Fine." No, Putin said. "I don't want you to tell anybody because people will get mad at you, not me. They don't care about me." Peskov did not confirm whether or not those tests were specifically for Putin's own use, as Woodward writes. The Kremlin's press secretary said at the time the pandemic was starting and the situation was very difficult for all countries. Of course, initially, all countries tried to exchange aid shipments with each other. At that time, we sent a shipment of ventilators to the United States, and the Americans sent us several samples of test kits, as those were practically unique items. Many countries were doing the same. This is what they're saying. So, believe it or not, you make the decision, sending test kits to a dictator who was our known enemy. Cold War, if everybody remembers Russia in the Cold War, Gorbachev and all these people, Putin. But this is where we're at. We're 24 days out, y'all. Choose wisely. I'm going to say it again, and I keep saying it. Choose wisely. So let me transition for a little bit here. So these are the two candidates that we've been hearing about for the longest. It was Joe Biden, and then he stepped down. Kamala Harris was put in the position. Let me take this down for a minute. So Kamala Harris was put in position. She announced Tim Walz was going to be her running mate. J.D. Vance is Donald Trump's running mate. So we've been going back and forth. Everybody's been trying to figure out who's going to be the best person for them and who's going to benefit them long term as far as their administration and so on and so forth. But here's where I think me, and the show, as well as the media, has fallen short. We, and I'm going to call myself media right now, we have fallen short by giving you this information that has been out there, but has been overlooked. There's another candidate that I talked about back probably around June. He announced on Tavis Smiley's show that he was going to be running for president on June 8th, 2023. Now, we're talking about over a year and a couple months ago. And that is no other than Dr. Cornel West. Dr. Cornel West is still running for president at this time. I don't know how many of y'all knew. I didn't know. I thought he had dropped out. I apologize for not giving you the information, because now, knowing this could have been a different race. We were concentrating, and the media was concentrating on RFK Jr., and all these other different people, but they never concentrated on Dr. Cornel West. And there's a reason I'm bringing this up today, and we're going to get into that as we go. But let me touch on something here with Dr. Cornel West. Dr. Cornel West announced June 8, 2023, that he was going to be running for president. Beside him here is Dr. Melina Abdullah. And I'm going to give you a little background on both of them. But how come the media, as well as myself, how come we haven't been talking about these candidates running for president? Why? Is because of how the ticket looks? Is because they're not qualified? Is because they may be looked at as DEI hires if they win? What is the reason why? And we can always get, because he's running on the third party ticket, Dr. West. And for y'all don't know Dr. West, Dr. Cornel West has been on a lot of shows, MSNBC, I think, and sometimes CNN and everything. And he's been a political pundit and talking about different things going on. But this is what Dr. West stands on. Dr. West, affectionately known to many as Brother West, is the Dietrich Bonhoeffer Professor of Philosophy and Christian Practice at Union Theological Seminary. Dr. West is the former university professor at Harvard University and professor emeritus at Princeton University. Cornel West graduated magna cum laude from Harvard in 3 years and obtained his MA and PhD in philosophy at Princeton. He is the first Black person to receive a PhD in philosophy from Princeton University. He has written 20 books, and he is best known for his classics Race Matters and Democracy Matters, and for his memoir, Brother West, Living and Loving Out Loud. He would deliver the historic Gifford Lectures at the University of Edinburgh in Scotland in spring of 2024, which has already passed. Dr. West is a lifelong lover of music and has produced 3 music albums on sketches of my culture, street knowledge, and Never Forget, in collaboration with artists such as Prince, Andre 3000, Jill Scott, and many others. This is who Dr. Cornel West is now. He enters the 2020 presidential contest at a time in which he describes a national crisis of moral bankruptcy and spiritual obscenity driven by a derelict duopoly of both major parties that equally places profits over people and the planet. And I'm going to keep asking, why haven't we been talking about Dr. Cornel West and his platform? Why haven't we been talking about Dr. Cornel West and his policies that he was going to bring to the table? Where do we fall short? Where do we fall short? He has a website, CornelWest2024.com. You can go there and pull it up and look at it. But I want to touch on two other things with this. His running mate, Dr. Melina Abdullah. Melina Abdullah is professor of Pan-African Studies at Cal State LA's College of Ethnic Studies, co-founder of Black Lives Matter Los Angeles and Black Lives Matter Grassroots, where she is also director. She is a leader in the California Faculty Association, both locally and statewide, and mama of 3. Dr. Abdullah earned her PhD from University of South Carolina in political science and her BA from Howard University in African American Studies. Abdullah has authored numerous articles and book chapters known by the moniker Doc Melly Mel. She is creator, host, and producer of the radio programs Move the Crowd on KPFK 90.7 FM, and This Is Not a Drill on KBLA Talk 1580, and is a recognized expert on race, gender, class, and social movements. She is the first Muslim to run for the vice presidency. I think we just answered our question, didn't we? We have an African-American male and an African-American Muslim running on the same ticket in the Green Party. Dr. Abdullah's academic and activist work profoundly aligns particularly with Cornel West campaign's gender transformative racial worker, and education justice pillars. Why have we not been paying attention to Cornel West and Dr. Abdullah? I feel like I've let y'all down, because I think there's some things that we should have been discussing, but I as well as others have gotten so caught up in the Trump madness and everything that circles around him, because it's Trump 24/7, if you really think about it, that we haven't even concentrated on these two people and what their agenda is. And their policy pillars for a movement rooted in truth, justice, and love: Black maternal justice, child justice, disability justice, economic justice, education justice, elder justice, environmental justice, gender justice, global justice, gun violence justice, health justice, immigration justice, LGBTQIA plus justice, racial justice, transformative justice, voter justice, worker justice. Now, one of the things I know about Dr. Cornel West is that he wears his black and white all the time. That's what you see him with on there, the black suit, white shirt, black tie. He's always worn that attire, and I don't want to misquote him, but I think what he said was the fact that he wears that to represent those that are oppressed, those in poverty within this country, within the world. And he stands on that, and I like that about him. His message has not been loud enough, per se, for us to be able to gravitate to what he was running on and his platform. I remember when I first put this up when he started running, and I was kind of skeptical about it. But after that, I didn't hear anything else other than he was running. I don't know. I don't know what we could have done differently. James Battle, good morning, my brother. Appreciate it. I don't know what we could have done differently. And even if it would have made a difference. However, I think we did Dr. Cornel West and Dr. I can't remember her name, Abdullah, a disservice throughout the media by not putting their platform out there on what they were running on. Just me. You can take it for what you take for what you want, but I'm just saying I think we fell short as far as putting his platform, putting what he was running on and everything out there. Even when he announced his vice presidential candidate, we didn't hear anything about that. Mind you, they don't have a national convention or anything like that, but it's something we should have been talking about, especially here on the Speak on the Show. So I want to apologize for falling short on that. But the reason I bring this up today is this. Third party candidate Cornel West rejected from ballot in key swing state. Cornel West, the third party candidate for president in 2024, was rejected from a ballot in a key swing state this week. On Thursday, a federal judge denied West's bid to appear on the presidential ballot in Pennsylvania, a crucial battleground state. While acknowledging the merit of West's claim, the judge ruled that it's too close to election day to make any adjustments. U.S. District Judge J. Nicholas Ranjan expressed serious concerns over how Pennsylvania Secretary of State Al Schmidt is enforcing state election code restrictions on West. The judge outlined his concerns in an order issued late Thursday. The laws as applied to him and based on the record before the court appear to be designed to restrict ballot access to him and other non-major political candidates for reasons that are not entirely weighty or tailored, and thus appear to run afoul of the U.S. Constitution, Ranjan wrote in the order. Now, I wanted to bring this up because here's the biggest part of this that I discovered once I started looking, and that's this. This is the map of the United States. Now, what I just talked to you about was Pennsylvania, where he is being rejected from the ballot in a key swing state. And if you look at this map, where it's gray, the lighter, well, let's start with the darker gray. This is all the places that Cornel West has applied to be on the ballot, where he's petitioned for ballot access. And if you look at it, the pending state certification is the darker of the gray, which is Florida, Georgia, Pennsylvania. He's pending state certification. And on the ballot, all the orange, Washington, Oregon, Utah, Colorado, Nebraska, was that Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Vermont, Maine, North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, Louisiana. Those are the places that he's on the ballot. Official write-in candidate are the ones that look like a brownish color. California, Arizona, Wyoming, North Dakota, Texas, Kansas. I can't see all these. Missouri. I'm sorry, y'all. Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, West Virginia, Kentucky, New York, Alabama. I missed that one up there. What's beside that? Iowa. There it is. Iowa. So the no write-in options are the lighter gray, that you can't write him in. He's not on the ballot. You can't, he's not even going to be allowed to be on the ballot for you to vote for in Montana, Idaho, Nevada, South Dakota, New Mexico, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Tennessee, Mississippi. Now, I bring this up to show you that while everyone was concentrating on RFK Jr. and how he was going to take votes from people and, take votes to kind of even the playing field for Donald Trump or take votes away from Joe Biden at the time and everything like this, this map shows you that Dr. Cornel West and his running mate are on the ballot in a lot of these places where they weren't even talked about as having an impact on the race. Because we, as the media, didn't get the information out to you. We didn't let you know that he was still in the race. We didn't let you know that in these places where he's trying to get certification to be on the ballot and everything, because you got to have, the Democratic and Republicans are already known to be on the ticket. Any lower party than that has to fight to be put on the ticket. I don't think we did our justice to put them on the ticket. Now, you may not agree with his views. You may not agree with his policies. You may not agree. But I think there's something that needs to be said, that why aren't anyone other than the Republican and the Democrats put on the ballots automatically? If this is a country that we say is free and our elections are run like this, where you got to put in and fight to be on a ballot if you're not a Republican or a Democrat, or you want to run as an independent. Bernie Sanders had to do the same thing, if you recall. And it brings up a lot of questions. And it's not, and I don't want anybody to think this the wrong way. It's not that I'm just talking about Cornel West and everything because, I'm saying he's being left off the ballot because he's black. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is there's something in our system that needs to be fixed. Because if we're only going to have Republican and Democrat as it's always been and it's always been, how are we going to have change in this country? What are we going to change to make this happen? What can we do in our states to make it happen where anybody that's running for president or any office should be able to be on the ballot? It's not, and my biggest problem with this is it's all about this. It's all about the money. If you have the money to be a candidate and you got the people backing you as far as monetarily, then you can be on the ballot. Doesn't make sense to me, but this is the road we're on. This is where we're at. This is where we're at. But something this week, when I talk about Dr. Cornel West, and I talk about not being on the ballot, things like that, this week, I don't even know how I want to start off with this. Former President Barack Obama had a lot to say about the African-American male and voting. Now, I know there's a lot of people listening who are these staunch Barack Obama fans. Oh, he got this swag. Look at the gray hair coming in and look at all the superficial and everything about, look at his walk, how he treats Michelle, all these things. Okay. But I want to know why, and I'm asking this question rhetorically, and feel free to chime in, but I'm asking this question, why is it that we have our black men that are in certain positions chastise and minimize our standing as black men when we don't agree to disagree, or we can't find common ground to agree to disagree? And I say that because let me read some of this here. Obama faces backlash for comments toward black men. Former President Obama is drawing backlash for recent comments calling on black men to turn out for Vice President Harris in November's election. At a campaign stump for Harris on Thursday in Pittsburgh, Obama said that despite Harris raising upward of $1 billion, we have not seen the same kinds of energy and turnout in all quarters of our neighborhoods and communities as we saw when I was running. That lag in energy, he added, appears to be more pronounced with the brothers. That lag of energy, he added, appears to be more pronounced with the brothers. And this is what he said after that. You're coming up with all kinds of reasons and excuses. I've got a problem with that, he said, because part of it makes me think, and I'm speaking to men directly, part of it makes me think that, well, you just aren't feeling the idea of having a woman as president, and you're coming up with other alternatives and other reasons for that. Stop right there. John Cheney, what did he say wrong? That's wrong. Well, let me get into it. I'm not saying he said anything wrong. What I'm saying is, why does it seem that we have people like Barack Obama, Bill Cosby, Steve Harvey, when they get in these certain positions, they feel the need to down talk us as black men, like we don't know what we want. Like we don't have the mental aptitude to vote our conscience. You never see white American men, white male men, down talk each other according to why they're not voting for someone that looks like them. We do that in our community. That's where my problem comes in. Is he wrong? He may be, depending on who you are and where you stand. Here's where I get. We have to get out of this mentality that we're a herd of damn sheep, that everybody has to fall in line with the narrative that one person feels we all should fall in line with. That's my only concern about it, is that. John Cheney, I didn't see the down talk, and he talked to all men. I disagree with you. Well, you can disagree with me, but he said black men. He said black men. Go back and read the article. Go back and look at the interview. He said black men because he was talking to a room of black men. He said that a lot of it has to deal with sexism in our community. I don't, your opinion is your opinion, mine is mine. I listened to the interview twice. All I'm saying is we have to understand that when we get in, and here's where on this show, you've heard me say it many times. When we talk about the Byron Donalds, the Clarence Thomas, the Ben Carsons, those type people that are all in for Trump, we can't agree to disagree because they have a different viewpoint of us. We get to calling them sellouts and Uncle Toms. This is no different to me. This is no different when you're attacking black men because you don't feel that a majority of us are voting for Kamala Harris, or we're not speaking up and we're not energetic about it. We have to take this into account. Kamala Harris has only been on the ticket how long? She hasn't been on the ticket. She's been on there as the vice president, but she hasn't been in the position of president for only a couple months since Joe Biden stepped down. So you can't expect that full energy to get full speed when you're only on a short track. If you're a 100-meter runner, 100-meter dash runner, if you only run the 40 or the 60, you may not be able to make that 100 meters. It's a long distance between the time it was announced who was running and the time she was put into place. He also said men at his speech. I think people are getting butthurt trying to minimize the ex-president's support. It's not that we're trying to minimize his support. I'm keeping it in the aspect of we have too many times seen black men minimizing other black men in this capacity. That's what I'm talking about. We do it all the time. This is not just him. It's all of us. We minimize each other to the point where we feel that because this person doesn't agree with me or this person's not doing what I do, that he's less than, or we can't agree to disagree. I'm just saying, we can go back and forth about it, but at the end of the day, why is it always on this major platform where we're minimized to like we can't think for ourselves? I understand the support Barack Obama has for her, but where was he at 6 months ago when Joe Biden was running? We didn't see him. We didn't see him then. Was he in the bullpen warming up? Well, like I said, you're going to see what you see. I'm going to see what I see. We can agree to disagree. From my view, there's too much of that goes on in our community. And when I say community, if we want to talk about Barack Obama is a part of our community. Here's where it is. When you look at it and you ask yourself what he said, and in the context and in the place of where he said it, there's a certain point where we have to get to the point of pushing back. I don't care if he's a former president. The bottom line is this. Everybody may have heard something different, but what he said specifically was, you're coming up with all kinds of reasons and excuses. I got a problem with that because part of it makes me think, and I'm speaking to men directly, part of it makes me think that, well, you just aren't feeling the idea of having a woman as president and you're coming up with other alternatives and other reasons for that. Questions asked. Nina Turner, argued comments. Nina Turner, former senator, Ohio State senator. Why are black men being lectured to? Why are black men being belittled in ways that no other voting group is? Those are the questions that are being asked. I think he's basically trying to address what the polls are saying about the increase in black men supporting Trump. Maybe not the right approach, but I also wonder why any black person, man or woman, would support Trump. And I understand that. Don't get me wrong. We can always have our opinions on why they would support this person. But at the end of the day, don't minimize it to the point of, well, black men aren't ready for a female president. And as Nina Turner said, why are black men being lectured to? Why are black men being belittled in ways that no other group is? If y'all remember, during the convention, D.L. Hughley did a speech. And he had to backtrack on everything he ever said about Kamala Harris because he did his research. But we don't give grace to the other people who may not be as energized about him. They didn't say they weren't going to vote for her. They didn't just come out and say that. But there's this demographic in the polls that says that black men are gravitating to Trump more than they are Kamala Harris. But where, as I always say, where are these polls being taken and who are they talking to? Because at the end of the day, I don't have to tell you who I'm voting for as long as I vote. But we get caught up in the fact of the sheep mentality. Everybody needs to go and follow the leader. But when we don't, we're sellouts, Uncle Toms, or Coons, all those different names that I don't like to use, but I'm going to use them in this tense because it fits. I'll continue reading. Unless President Obama is going to go out and lecture every other group of men from other identity groups, my message for Democrats is don't bring it here to black men who by and large don't vote much differently from black women, she said. As a politician, we should be trying to get all voters to vote. And hopefully there are a few good men out there who do care about the stripping away of some of women's bodily autonomy. She also said she has a lot of love for Obama, but for him to single out black men is wrong. And some of the black men that I've talked to have their reasons why they want to vote a different way. And even if some of us may not like that, we have to respect it. John Chain, there are a lot of black men I've encountered that are voting for Trump. Now they have you on here bashing one of our leaders. I think you are doing their bidding. Well, your opinion is your opinion. I know who I am. I know where I stand. I know where I sit. My job is to put the information out there. I'm not bashing Obama. I'm bashing the comments that he said. You can't, let's go here. You can't compare the movement of when he was running compared to now. You can't compare the two different movements. It's different times. It's different voting people in the voting. Come on, we can't do these comparisons. Facts are facts. And here are some of the facts. Exit polling. Since Obama's first election in 2008, Democrat support among black men has been slipping since 2008. Since he won in 2008. While the exit polling shows 80% of black men supported Biden in 2020, that number was down slightly from Hillary Clinton's 82% in 2016, which was significantly lower than Obama's 95% in 2008 and his 87% in 2012. Now watch this. So by the polling numbers, Obama's 95% in 2008 dropped down to 87% in 2012. These are the numbers. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. So black men, polling wise, and looking at the statistics, the Democratic Party has been losing it over time. So we went from get out and vote to only vote for her. At one time, we couldn't get people to go vote. Now we got people going to vote, and we're disparaging them because they may not vote in the way we think they should vote. Which one do we want? Do we want them at the polls or do we not want them at the polls? Reggie P. Rowe, good morning, my brother. Appreciate you. That's all. And I'll go back to your comment, John. There are a lot of black men I've encountered that are voting for Trump. I haven't encountered any in my circle, but that's fine. But the question I have is, has a conversation come up on why they're choosing to vote for Trump? And now they have me on here bashing one of our leaders. I don't think me reading a report of what was said and how he said it is bashing. I'm just regurgitating what I understood from what I seen and what I listened to. Difference of opinion. It's not bashing. It's reporting what the news says and what he said out of his own mouth. That's all. And as Nina Turner said, unless Barack Obama is going to go out and lecture every other group of men from other identity groups, my message for Democrats is don't bring it here to black men who by and large don't vote much differently from black women. I guess the question, why the support is declining at this particular time when the other candidate is an unapologetic white supremacist. I mean, question, yeah. And see, the thing is this, we can agree to disagree on why the numbers are changing or anything like that. But here's where I think some of us have to step back and ask ourselves this question. Everyone's experiences are different. Everyone's mentality and how they see things is different. Your view, my view, the other person's view, this person's view may all be different in the way we look at things. But to chastise me because my view is different than yours as far as from what my experiences are, then there becomes a question there. And as you said, John, yeah, he said men, but he was talking to a room full of black men. And some of the other articles I read said he just said the quiet part out loud. You know, these are the things where we're in political season. We're in a certain time where people are very sensitive on how you respond to certain people. I never look to diminish who President Barack Obama is by reading the article. I never tried to diminish who he is as far as what he said. All I did was ask the question on why does it seem that at this time, black men, because we've heard this narrative for the longest, and this doesn't come up with him. We've heard this narrative for the longest that black men were more gravitating to Donald Trump than they were to Kamala Harris or Joe Biden at the time. Even when Joe Biden was in the race, the black vote was decreasing for Democrats because everybody, you know, you hear people saying we need to get off the Democratic plantation and so on and so forth and all these different narratives. There was always going to come a time, it just happened to be now, that people were going to start migrating to a different mindset. Why? Because the economy is different for most of us. Where we live is different. Where we work is different. The opportunities we have is different. Different things happen that changes the mindset of different people. But while we were caught up in calling those people that changed their mindset coons, Uncle Toms, and sellouts and all this, they were going on about their business to go to the other side and decide for themselves and what they felt was best for them to follow up with that. Because we don't have these conversations amongst us about how do you feel about the policies of this. What we hear is, well, I'm voting for Trump. Oh, you a sellout. You're not going to vote for Vice President Harris? No. Like I said, there was the narrative out there about how many black men she locked up. Never the conversation was how many people she locked up. It was only how many black men she locked up as a prosecutor. Let that marinate. The narrative was how many black men she locked up in her time as a district attorney and attorney general. Never how many people and how much crime she reduced in the time she was there. Just how many black men she locked up. That's where our scope got to this. That's all. That's all I'm saying. Did I agree with his delivery? No. Do I hold that against him for everything he's ever done? No. I can still respect him, but disagree with a statement and how he presented it and what he said. That's what it's about. That's what grown folks do. We can agree to disagree, and I can still like you tomorrow. Yeah, I can still like you when we walk away, shake hands, and go on about our business. We don't let those things linger. But I just found it interesting that we're concentrating on black men. At one time, it was concentrating on black women and their vote. This time, it's black men and their vote. It sways. But we don't need to have a person like President Barack Obama to seem as though he is bashing black men for not supporting who he thinks is the best candidate. That's all. That's all. That's it. 20-something days, y'all. 20-something days. We'll see. We shall see. Bath and Body Works. Bath and Body. I can show you better than I can tell you. Bath and Body Works has this candle. And they're saying that this candle, if you look at the little, it's supposed to be a snowflake kind of thing. But there's a users on X have been criticizing the candle's design, dubbing the design a clandle. The company, which is known for its fragrance candles and personal hygiene products, pulled the candle from its website and apologized in a statement to TMZ. The snowflake in the image on the candle featured two holes on either side of its spindles. Critics said the pattern looked similar to the white hoods worn by members of the KKK. Now, here's where this other picture comes into play. Now, some will look and won't see the resemblance. Some will look and see the resemblance. And let me continue reading before I talk about this. Critics said the pattern looked similar to the white hoods worn by members of the KKK, an American white supremacist terrorist group that emerged after the Civil War and legal slavery had ended, freeing millions of black people held in bondage. KKK is the oldest hate group in America, and so on and so forth. Candle is no longer available for purchase on Bath & Body Works' website. At Bath & Body Works, we are committed to listening to our teams and customers and committed to fixing any mistakes we make, even those that are unintentional like this one, the company said in the email statement to NBC News and other outlets. We apologize to anyone we've offended and are swiftly working to have this item removed and are evaluating our process going forward. But this is not the first time the company has been accused of being racially insensitive. 2 years ago, Bath & Body Works released their most popular scents covered in kente print for Black History Month, touting them as limited edition. Many called out the line as performative, pandering, and embarrassing. While questions remain on how this design got approved, a Reddit post revealed that Bath & Body Works retail workers have been told to damage out all their snowed-in candles. An internal memo posted by an apparent Bath & Body Works employee showed a step-by-step tutorial on how to remove the label, then to trash the candles in an opaque bag to conceal the contents. Now, let me ask this question, and y'all feel free to chime in. Do you see the resemblance here or no? Because I'm going to say it this way. And this is not to disparage anyone who may see what I don't see. But I will say it this way. We can't continue to cry wolf when the wolf is nowhere around. Now, like I said, some opinions may see that. But for me, I don't know. It's kind of a push for me. It's kind of a push. Unless you're really looking at it for that, I don't know. But I say that we can't continue to cry wolf because there's certain things that are happening around us that deal with the racial context of things. And I look at this and I'm thinking, is this the hill we want to die on with a candle? Now, I'm not trying to minimize anything that deals with, racist things or anything like that. Some are small, some are large. But I'll let y'all guys be the judge. I'm not sure. I can see it, but I can't see it. I put it that way. I see it, but I don't see it. Y'all help me out. I'm not sure. But Bath & Body Works took the candles off the market. They're going to lose money with that, give or take. Take off the wrapping around the outside or whatever, change up the label, whatever they're going to do. That's what they do. But here's the other part. I think no matter how much they lose, they're still going to gain because they pay no taxes on their business. Like all these big businesses they don't pay taxes like they should anyway. So who knows? There's something I wanted to bring up, something I seen that I don't know. I'll let y'all see it one more time. I don't know if there's a similarity there. I don't know if you can really come out of that. Maybe. Could be. But I'll say it this way. I'm going to wrap this up. We've been talking about a lot of things over the last 2 to 3 years. everything from racism to politics to men's vulnerability, and we have a couple women's shows. We have all these different things that have gone on within the last 2 years on the Speak on the Show. And as I opened up before, and I said before, we can agree to disagree on different things, and erasing comments and things, and all that we talked about in the beginning. And the back and forth about whether we agree with certain views or what somebody has to say and everything, I'm cool with that. I don't have a problem with that. My biggest thing is this: we can't expect everybody to have our same view. We were all raised differently. We all have different experiences through our lives, so we're going to see things a lot differently. Now, when it came to what I mentioned about President Barack Obama, like I said, I read it. I looked at the videos twice. What I seen and what Mr. John Cheney commented he's seen are two different views. James Battle, 3 different views. What I'm reporting is not to try to minimize who President Barack Obama is. What I'm reporting is, if I seen it that way, think about how many other people seen it that way. This is not a one-size-fits-all society. And when we talk about our community, it just seems to me that we have so many times minimized Black men for no reason, for a difference of opinion. That's it. And the thing is, we got to get out of our own way when we talk about this and realize that there are certain things that we're going to agree with that we're not. I'll say it this way, and then I'm going to leave it alone, but I got a comment I'm going to read. There is always this debate in barbershops and in conversations about who's the GOAT in basketball, Jordan or LeBron. And then they throw Kobe in there. And it constantly goes on and on and on. And when it comes to that debate, we can agree to disagree, how you look at it, how you played, how you see the game played. All these different things come in as factors. Some people never played, which are people that sit up on these panels and talk, and you listen to them. And then you got people that have played, and you listen to them. And all these different things go on. But at the end of the day, we agree to disagree to a certain extent. Some people get offended, but we can agree to disagree on certain things. But there's one part that I find funny, is that when we have these debates, or when they get into these debates and about LeBron and Kobe and Michael Jordan and everything, we look at that differently because it's sports. But when we talk about a debate of who is going to be the better politician, who is going to be doing more for me and my well-being and all that, yeah, sports is sports. But when we talk about the president of the United States, there are certain people that see things that Trump can do for them that they gravitate to. There are certain things that Kamala Harris can do for them that they gravitate to. But there's got to be a happy medium in there, because no matter who becomes president, we all are going to have to function under that. We can't have this attitude like, I don't like him, or I don't. That's what America has come to now, where we can't have candidates that we just disagree with. We got to totally hate them. Now, I'm not saying that we have to like them or like everything that they do. What we see with Donald Trump is a criminal getting away with anything and everything that we know we would never get away with. But if the populace of the United States of America decides to vote this man as president, you may not agree, but you got to find a silver lining somewhere about how it's going to benefit you, because you can't keep going against the grain, because what's going to happen is you're going to find yourself without. Case in point, you look at now with the hurricanes that we just had go through, you got people down there that are so hell-bent on Trump, they don't want to take FEMA aid. FEMA, which he has nothing to do with it, because all the misinformation, you got people that are Trump supporters in locations where they need help from FEMA that are refusing the help from FEMA because of what this man said. Let that marinate. I just say that to say that we have to come to a point of agreeing to disagree and knowing where we stand, because eventually we all going to have to come together and figure out something. We all going to have to figure out something. Now let's get to the comment here. It's a long one, so y'all be ready. Sir, as to my comments about the program becoming a money maker, I do not see doing good and making money as a contradiction. Money is a tool. One can do great things with money. And what is wrong with a program being for a specific audience? Why can't that be respected? What's wrong about a program being a Black thing, a Hispanic thing, or Asian thing? Everything doesn't have to be for everybody. It's great when it is open to all, but why can't we respect that a program or project for? Okay, no, I get that. But when I get pigeonholed into being something that I did not set out to be. I'm a Black man doing a show. That's what I'll continue to be. I don't consider speak on it because it doesn't say speak on it Black show, speak on it Black thing. It doesn't say anything. It says speak on this show. If people tune in and they see that it's a Black host and they choose not to tune in, that's on them. But I don't advertise this as a Black show. People may see it as that, but that's not what I advertise it as. It's to speak on this show. I'm a Black host of this Speak on the Show. Been a Black man my whole life. That's all I'm ever going to be. Money, as far as the money part, I've never got into this about the money. Yeah, it could be a good thing, but it's never been about the money for me. It's about getting information out to the people. If I could make money off of it, yes, I would try to find a way to put it back into something else. But as far as me trying to make money off this, nah, that's not what it's about for me. There's a lot of people out here making much, much, much money off of the YouTube views and everything like that. It's not what I started for, because 12 years ago, let's just go with a little history. 12 years ago, there was no money in this. The money started coming in during the pandemic when a lot of people started getting their podcasts. If you go look now, there are podcasts everywhere. Everywhere. It's just what it is. It's just what it is. It's just the same, just how it is. That's how it is. James Battle, I will always believe that people like Tim Scott, Byron Donalds are wrong, as I'm sure they believe I am. I'm not trying to diminish them as humans, but I think it's my responsibility to call them out when I believe they're wrong. I do the same thing with people that I actually know personally. I try to provide them with historical facts of why they're wrong, not to diminish them in any way, though. So I'll ask you this, Battle, and you said something in there that really jumps out at me. I do the same thing with people that I actually know personally. So you can have a conversation with them to find out why they stand where they stand. See, the ones that we tend to diminish, that we don't know their experiences. We don't know why they stand on what they stand on, because we can't have that conversation. That's all I'm saying. We can't sit down and break bread with them and ask them why you feel this way. You can do that with people that we know. That's what I'm saying. I just, maybe I'm a visionary that likes to see peace, where we can agree to disagree and go on about our business and still come back and break bread. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. But I understand that, we may not know these people, but without knowing them, we don't know what their experiences are and why they're there. It's just like they say, why that person's a racist. We don't know why that person's a racist. Now, I'm not excusing racism, but we don't know what may have happened to that person at some time. When we talk about white people, we may have Black folks that say, I don't deal with white people. Well, why not? Well, I grew up down south, and where I grew up at, you didn't talk to them, you didn't speak to them, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. That's the different experiences that we deal with. So I can't be mad at a brother who don't speak to a white friend of mine, but I can't be mad at a white friend of mine who don't speak to a black friend of mine, because I don't know their experiences. Now, if I know them, like I said, if I know them, then I can understand it, because we can have that conversation. It's just one of those things that I think we get caught up in the difference of opinions rather than looking at the bigger picture of our different walks of lives. That's all. That's all I'm saying. This is a conversation we need to have. Maybe we'll have a panel. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. I don't have a problem with it. Anybody wants to join in on the panel, let's talk about it. I'm good. Let me know. rwcoolings@yahoo.com. Send me an email. Let's set it up. We can have a conversation about where the disconnect is, why we can't all see eye to eye, and if we do, why it seems like we're minimizing or disparaging someone's thoughts and processes just because. The people that I mentioned have public platforms, and I believe they are influencing the youth. So that's why it's important to call them out. Yeah, and when we say call them out, that's fine. You may not agree, but if they're the youth that we know, then we can have that conversation with them without disparaging those that are saying it. And the calling them out would be, no, that's fact. That's not fact. Let me tell y'all exactly what went on rather than what he's saying went on. Difference of opinions. I don't know. Maybe I'm trying to be a peacemaker in 2024 going into 2025. I don't know. But let me go ahead and wrap this up. I appreciate everybody tuning in. I love y'all. And like I say, I'll be back again next week. And if we want to have this panel about, difference of opinions and agreeing to disagree, let's make it happen. rwcoolins@yahoo.com, or you can send me a message through Messenger, Rodney W. Collins on Facebook, and we'll get it set up. As I always say before I sign off, love yourself, love one another, keep your head up, and most definitely keep your faith in God. 24 days before we vote. Choose wisely, choose wisely, choose wisely. And don't let anybody pressure you in to doing something different than what your heart tells you to do when you go to the polls or otherwise in life, period. Do you, stand on you, and let your experiences trump what everybody may think about you. It is what it is. And I didn't mean no harm when I said Trump, but you know how that works. I love y'all, and I'll holler at y'all. Peace.